Hey everybody, I'm Cahlen, and I've gotten some requests recently for me to do another full listing of the items that I'm using. I have done a full listing, but it's probably about 6 months, maybe even longer than that, old at this point. And things have changed quite drastically. I'm moving more towards trying to have almost everything just in my backpack, everything that I own and everything that I'm using. And I just figured it would be useful to share this with you because I know some of you are kind of worried about what your governments are doing, and you recognize that a situation where you're living like this may be something that is your only option. And so if that's the case, then it's important that you're well prepared and you have everything that you need. And I've been doing this for a while, trying to get to the point where I am now. And I've gone through lots of different types of gear, and I've used different types of things, and basically what I have now is what I think is pretty much the best. There are a few things that I can upgrade, but if you match what I have, then you're in pretty good situation. Of course, you would be lacking knowledge that I also have through experience of using these things, but I'm just telling you that I have been able to make all these things work, and I am perfectly happy and comfortable. And honestly, I don't even want to live inside. So I live under a raincoat right now, and I really like it. So this isn't just a survival necessary situation, but also, just a lifestyle. If you want to live real simple, let me show you how I do it. Okay, so basically what I'm going to be doing is going through and showing you as much as I can each of the things that I have in my backpack, which deploys to this situation, basically gives me all of the things that I need to survive. So first of all, this is going to be largely clothes because, well, I just won't go too much into that. Basically, your clothing is a very important part. Basically, I think you could probably figure out a clothing system where you didn't even need a backpack and you basically had everything you need for 4 seasons. So it's important, and it'll keep you alive. So first, I'm not going to show you, but are my underwear, which are wool. They are merino wool, and that makes it so that it's antimicrobial. So it doesn't get stinky, like underwear will get stinky. It takes way longer to get stinky, and then you can just rinse it in water and leave it out in the sun for several hours, and then the stinkiness is gone. So you only need one pair of underwear. So the next thing is for a base layer. The military has a system of staying warm, and it is a system of clothing, certain types of clothing in a certain layering system, and they can be mixed and that type of stuff. But basically, the bottom layer should be, I think they call them silks, but it's basically like a thermal underwear, right? So long underwear, and I'm using merino wool, basically the kind of the thickest that I could get. And this is going to keep me really warm, especially if I'm able to insulate it and protect it from getting wet. And it's also antimicrobial, so stinkiness in other parts of the body are also mitigated greatly. Then I have a buff. This is a collar that kind of goes over your neck, and it can be used as a mask, unfortunately. It can be used if you're like in the sun. Actually, you can see pretty well, and this actually is kind of protecting your face from the sun. It can also be kind of like a beanie, and anyways, lots of different things like that. So you want to have this thing tucked down into your base layer top so that it's kind of keeping airflow from going in and out, and it keeps you warmer here. Then there is the actual wool beanie. See? Then I have wool gloves, and these are fairly thick, and they can have a waterproof layer over it, as we will see. And then let's see if I can get this thing on. One of these things. Balaclava. That's what this is. This is for when it gets really cold outside, and it's like even painful to be breathing in how cold the air is. This can be helpful for helping that not be so miserable. So the next layer on top of those is what they call layer 2, which is basically, it's kind of just like a shirt, and there's a leg version of this as well, which I don't currently have, but I am going to be getting as soon as I can. and it's kind of like the waffle layer. Basically, it has waffle grids going through it, which give it more kind of volume of air that it's holding in, which helps to insulate even further without being very heavy. This shirt is actually very, I think, stylish. I wear it as my outer shirt all the time. I also wear it as my work shirt because it's very rugged. So now let's talk about layer 3, and these are basically the clothes that you would probably think of as what you're normally wearing, you know, so basically pants. And this is like tactical pants. They have mini pockets which all zip, which is very useful. And they're also lined with fleece, polyester fleece on the inside, so they're also very warm, but not so warm that I can't wear them outside on a hot day. It's a little bit uncomfortable, but I can get by without too much annoyance. Then there's the tactical belt. This is a cloth belt and is basically really useful for, of course, keeping your pants pulled up, but also holding things like tools that kind of slide onto the belt. Then we would have the upper part for that level, and I don't currently have that right now. It's actually ordered and on its way to me. But basically this is sort of like a fleece or something like that, or like a kind of like a thick wool over thing. And then on the other side, going to the next level, is a layer of waterproofing. So these are extremely light and compact rain pants, right? Fit them in the pouch of my backpack in the front side. And then where's the here it is. And then here's the raincoat, and it goes down similarly compact. Okay, next layer is basically a layer, well, I don't know what you would consider this exactly in that military layering system, but this is basically the warming part of the outer layer, right? So this is a swagman's roll, and it basically it's kind of like poncho shaped, so it's like a big coat with a hood, but it's also a blanket and it's also a sleeping bag, right? This is all I've been using to sleep in the last, I don't know, week or two, and it's been plenty warm. I haven't felt cold at all, and you know, it's pretty warm right now because it's summer. But yeah, this thing's pretty great. It's also great as a sleeping pad. And then you have the part that goes over that, which is exactly the same shape and actually attaches to the swagman's roll, which is the actual poncho. And as you can see, I can use the poncho as my actual shelter as well. So we've got wool pretty much everywhere on our body, so we're also going to wrap that up by putting wool on the socks. But these are not just wool, that's other things too. These are Darn Tough socks, and that's the name of the brand actually of these socks, and they are darn tough. And they're also wool, so they have the antimicrobial stuff going on too. These socks, I've never seen anything like it, so darn tough. Waterproofing the Darn Tough. These are other socks. They also will help keep my feet warm when it gets colder. It's like very thick socks, and also they're waterproof. These are not always waterproof. If you use them a lot, they will start to lose their waterproofing, so use them sparingly. Then waterproof gloves. I don't really like these that I have so much right now, but so I'm looking for some other ones, so we'll see how that goes. Then there is the sun hat, or the wizard's hat, and bug net. So last but not least, of course, is shoes, and I recommend your shoes being waterproof, but also being lightweight, because every time you lift your leg, you're lifting the weight, and that is very tiring on lots of different aspects of your body and your energy and stuff like that. So I don't really like to wear shoes, but I like to wear these shoes. These are vegan, they're fairly minimalistic, and they're pretty rugged. I don't see them wearing down at all. Okay, so let's talk about shelter. As you see, I'm currently using my raincoat, basically, a poncho, as my shelter, and I have some paracord, which I have created something called the Rapid Ridgeline out of. You can look up Rapid Ridgeline on the YouTube channel, Gray Bearded Green Beret. Basically, make yourself one of those and start using it with the poncho, and you'll be like, wow, this thing is freaking genius, and it is freaking genius. So that's my shelter system at the moment. And basically with that, I have several of these types of titanium stakes, and then I have 3 of these types, the V type with some paracord tied to them. And then, so when it gets colder or really rainy, like really strong storms or something like that, I have been using this tarp, which is a 10 by 10 tarp, and I did a video on it recently, and it's pretty minimalistic and it works really well. But right now I'm really trying to reduce my weight, so I highly recommend that you have a tarp, at least a 10 by 10, and but I'm just not currently using that. So if it's something you're doing, I say definitely have this, and I'm probably going to use this when the weather gets bad. Okay, so let's talk about the sleeping system. First would be the ground sheet, which I use a Tyvek. Where is that? It's right here, this Tyvek sheet here. This is largely waterproof, extremely lightweight, extremely compact, and extremely tough as well. This thing is really good, highly recommend it. So then I have a sleeping pad. Let me put this down. And this blows up. There's this little stuff sack that you can fill up with air just by opening it and then closing it, and then you push the air into this so it doesn't get wet inside, so it doesn't get moldy inside, which is really important. This thing blows up and is crazy comfortable. Like, I'd rather sleep in this than most beds. So then for sleeping bag, I would use the Swagman's roll that I showed you if it's warm, but if it's starting to get really cold, then I'll probably pull out this, basically a down quilt. It's a camping quilt. Quilts are really good. People feel weird about them because they're not sleeping bags and the back isn't there, but you don't need any of that stuff on the back if you have a really good pad, and you're just adding weight by having it there. So you really just want something over the top of you that's kind of snugly secured to your sleeping pad, and that would be a quilt. So I'm not currently carrying this in my backpack right now because I'm plenty warm with just the Swagman's roll, and come winter, if I don't have another sleeping bag, I'll still be using this one, but I don't really like down personally because it loses its loft when it's getting packed and repacked every day, which is kind of how I do things. So I'm looking at getting something, maybe the same material as a Swagman's roll, still a quilt, and still lightweight and all that stuff. And I think that I'll be fine with that. Okay, so let's talk about fire starting. And my main go-to is this. It's really beat up now. It's a USB rechargeable electric lighter, and this thing gets things lit really quick. So basically, I'm going to show you what I use. I have this just in a little Ziploc bag. This is just little cotton balls, which I have soaked in Vaseline, not too soaked because it won't burn as well. And I just pull off little bits of it, and then I spread it out, and then this will light instantly with this thing. But it also lights really easy. Of course, with a big lighter, you should always have one of these. This will last you a pretty long time. It's not going to last you forever, so you want to be able to still be able to start fires when you can't get lighters anymore. So then you have something like this, and this isn't the one I want. I had a really good one. It fell out somewhere while I was hiking, and it's gone. So I'll get another one. So anyways, these things, cotton balls, Vaseline, good. Oh, and I forgot to show you this thing. See, it's this little compact, extends out, blow in the big end. Whoa, there's water in there. Anyways, you can blow on a fire without like burning your beard, you know. You gotta be careful about those things. Okay, let's move on to kitchen. So this is a titanium spork. Titanium because titanium is very strong for its weight. So in other words, it can be thin and still strong, therefore lightweight. Then there is my camp pot. It's very black because I use fire to heat this. And there's food in there currently. It comes with a lid, but also a frying pan. And currently I'm soaking some red lentils and quinoa, which I will cook later. And then I cook it using this camp stove. And this thing actually compresses down. I probably won't do it, but basically it'll compress down and it will look like this, and then it fits inside of the pot, and that lid goes over the top of it, and all sits compact together and doesn't really make noise or anything like that, and is all super lightweight together. And that stove just uses sticks, so all I need is some sticks and those fire lighting tools, and I can cook something. So next I have food, and I keep them in these nice containers. And this one is quinoa and red lentils. And then this one is basically a called Purium Power Shake, and it is a kind of like one of those powdered meals. You just add water and that type of stuff. But what I did is I melted coconut oil and I mixed it in until it got really, really thick. And so it's basically solid right now, but it's soft enough that I can just eat it with a spoon. So I'm getting a huge amount of calories. It's 7,500 calories right here, and it's delicious and it's good for me. So let's talk water. I keep one titanium water bottle with me, and it has a little, I took some titanium wire and I put it in, and I made basically like a wire mesh, which I can shake around. So I can put things in here with water, like hot water, and I can shake it up and it'll break it up and mix it up. So I don't need a blender anymore. Then for carrying large amounts of water in the backpack, I have something called a platypus. It's basically just a water bladder. This holds 3 liters of water, goes along this hose, and that hose then comes out at my shoulder in my backpack. So you can see it coming out of the backpack. Then it goes to this, which is a Sawyer squeeze, which is really, really great. It will last you a long time. Basically, you put water in there that's not like muddy and dirty and stuff like that, and you just suck it through this thing, and it's going to be clean. You're not going to get sick. So this thing's super awesome. So next, for electronics, I have my stealth survival phone, which is a de-Googled phone, which means I'm largely not being spied on, at least not as much as everyone else is. And I basically do everything on this thing, including running 3 different web servers that are doing different applications. So I don't really need a computer anymore because this thing does pretty much everything that I need. So I also make these things for people. So if you're interested, just send me an email and we can talk about that stuff. So then we have this solar panel. Let's open it up. Got 3 panels. This thing charges really quickly in good sun. And it's got 2 ports on it. You can charge 2 things at once. Then I have a USB rechargeable flashlight. You can see it does white and it does red. And this thing's really great. It doesn't have a huge battery, but with the red light, I left the strong red light on for, I think it was like 8 hours before the battery died. So that's a pretty long time. I haven't charged this thing in probably over a week, and it's probably going to last me another week or 2. Sometimes you're actually at someone's house, and so you want to be able to plug into their electricity. So something like this is nice to have. You just flip out the little thing and plug it in. And then last, I have some hollow tube earbuds. So hollow tube means that the Wi-Fi or cellular signal that your phone is broadcasting is not going through a wire directly into your brain. There's a chamber about this long that is hollow, and it's just the sound is echoing through. So, and those also can be used as a mic. So when you hear me on a podcast with someone else, I'm using that as my microphone and my listening. Okay, so let's talk about tools. First would be your main knife. I have this one. It's a Mora knife. What is it called? I don't remember what it's called. Then I have a multi-tool, which can turn into lots of different things. Has multiple knives, has saws. Very useful to have one of these. Definitely at least have one of these. Then there is a folding saw. So if you need firewood or you need to build a shelter, this thing works really well. Lasts a long time, and it's pretty lightweight and compact. Then I recommend having something for seeing far distances. So this is a monocular, and I can see pretty far into the distance with this. Sometimes you need to know what's going on somewhere, and you can't quite see far enough. So then there's my fishing pole. This is a Tenkara. It's a Japanese type fly fishing rod. It does not have a reel. It is super lightweight, compact, and then it gets really long. Almost every time I've gone fishing with this thing, I have caught at least one fish, and oftentimes more than one. You need this, and then this bag has like your line in it, and it has your flies and all that stuff. Okay, so let's talk about health. Got to have a first aid kit. This one is super lightweight, has some good stuff in it. It's not going to help you with really large injuries, so of course be careful. I also have this whole part right here is a big bottle of Lugol's iodine, which I recommend having for cleaning cuts and things, but also for nuclear fallout type situations. Then there's activated charcoal. This is basically charcoal, which this is what they use in hospitals when people have ingested poison. It charcoal binds to all those toxins and just pulls them right out of the body. This stuff works really good, and this is also what I brush my teeth with. So then there is chlorine dioxide. This is also called MMS, and this, people say that this is a miracle compound. It is. And I know that from personal experience and working with lots of other people too. And it's being highly suppressed right now. The main people who have been talking about this for several years, I think 3 of them were just recently thrown into prison, and I think it's related to the fact that this could play a big role in protecting people who have gotten the magic juice. Okay, let's talk about the backpack. I have the Osprey Rook. This is a fairly simple but also very sturdy. It wears very well. Comfort for me for a backpack is really important, and this is a little heavier than a lot of backpacks, but it's more comfortable for the weight than a lot of other backpacks. So this is 65 liters. I would say you probably want to have that much, like 60 or higher. This is my phone carrying case. It's basically sort of like a wallet, but it holds the phone, and it is lined with silver cloth, and that makes it a Faraday cage. So you can put it in the front, and the Faraday cage is only on this side protecting my body, but it's still broadcasting and receiving outwards. Then the second inner pouch is can't broadcast or receive because it's totally surrounded. So I have tested it with a meter. It is not perfect, but it drastically reduces the amount of signal that's getting sent from your phone. So then I recommend having something that you are walking with when you're wearing a heavy pack. This is my staff. It can be hard to walk with a heavy pack, and if you're having this much stuff, and many of you would probably have more stuff than this, your pack's going to be heavy and you're going to be unstable. So have some hiking poles. I like the staff. You can get those poles where you have 2 of them. This thing collapses down, is super lightweight and super strong, and also when used with a 10x10 tarp, it is basically the structure of the tent. So you can see my video if you check out my video on the tarp shelter. Okay, so let's go through some more miscellaneous. This is kind of like a hairbrush, and it's good for getting the scalp. It's basically almost cleansing, helps get the skin off your scalp and also underneath your beard. It also fluffs things up. It feels really good. I like this thing. It's a little heavy for its weight, but it's worth it. Then a sewing kit. You're going to need to be able to repair your gear and your clothes because you may not be able to buy it anymore or even get any more for a long period of time. So you can make your clothes last way longer if you get a sewing kit. Then also, this is repair tape. I don't remember the name of it exactly, but basically this can repair things like my tent, my sleeping bag, and my clothes that have, a very smooth surface. Works really well. Then for brushing my teeth, I just use a little bamboo toothbrush. I use the same one for months and months and months. And I will take a capsule of activated charcoal that we talked about. I put it in my mouth, and then I brush with that, and then I will swallow it. Okay, next we have this is a whistle. I won't blow on it, it's probably loud. That also has a thermometer on it. It also has a compass on it, and it also has a light, right? You have a light, right? Oh, there it goes, you see the light? And then also has these things that flip out of this, which is like a magnifying glass. One is a magnifying glass. Might be able to start fires, I don't know, it seems kind of weak. And the other one is a little mirror. So next, I have a little pack towel. See how small it folds up to and gets fairly big. You can use these just, normal hand towel or all kinds of different things. You can even use it to dry off your body. It does dry pretty quickly. I have used it at a hot spring. So that's the survival gear list. It may seem like a lot of stuff, and as you can see, we've made a giant mess here. It's really not that much stuff, and it actually is fairly lightweight considering how much I'm basically fulfilling all my needs. I've had much heavier backpacks, and really it's the water and the food which adds most of the weight. Most of this stuff is actually my clothes. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll share it with someone that you care about. It helps them, it helps me, and it'll help you feel like a healthy type of person. If you're feeling extra generous, you can head on over to cahlen.org/gift. And there you can basically learn of ways to help me feed myself, shelter myself, and to upgrade and repair my gear. All donations give you the option of having a 1-hour life coaching call with me. So, thanks again for watching.